If people did this one thing, they would quit way less often. And it's very simple. So I want to tell you, if you've been working on YouTube and you've been putting out videos and you feel that worry that your work isn't good enough, that it's not only normal, it's also a good sign. Hi everybody, Paige Turner here. There's a really awkward thing that happens with all creators. Whether you're a writer, a graphic artist, a filmmaker, creators tend to quit right when they're getting good. And it is very strange and it is very paradoxical, and today I will talk about why. It's incredibly awkward. Just as you're getting good is when you quit. So why does this happen? Well, as your skills increase, so do your standards. So everything you create starts to feel mediocre to you. And the weird part is that these mediocre creations are leaps and bounds beyond what you used to make when you were first starting out. You've just moved the goalpost so far on yourself without realizing it. And it's a natural thing that happens as you improve. You get used to that good output. The thing that used to take you forever and used to agonize about has become easy. So when the work doesn't feel difficult, it doesn't feel like it's good, even though the easy work is better than the difficult work used to be before.
Your emotions are beginning to affect your judgment.
And it's a crazy thing. And I've seen it so many times. I've watched people grow. You know, when they first start out, they're like excited that they can make anything. They're really excited about the process. But yeah, over time, they get more and more self-critical, and it skews and it warps their perception. So they're sitting here agonizing. They're showing me this piece of work and it is so good, and yet they can't see it and they feel like it is garbage and they don't want to share it. And it basically becomes impossible for them to produce something that meets their standards. Like everything looks ugly to them and they want to quit. And unfortunately, a lot of them do. And I'll tell you, I've worked with so many creators in this process. I've coached people. And at this point, there's basically one thing that'll get you out of this, that will get you out of this problem, that will solve this. If people did this one thing, they would quit way less often. And it's very simple. And that is, you need to give yourself permission to make something terrible. Just make something, even if it's bad. Like, don't overthink it, just make it. Stop trying to be perfect and just create something. When you feel this worry and this tension and this awful feeling, just make something. And when you do that, either one of two things happen. The first is that you end up making something that's not bad at all and you surprise yourself. I would have a deadline, I would be overthinking it, and I'd say to myself, well, okay, sit down, work on the outline. You can come up with points for your outline. And then as I did that, I would say, oh, well, you know, I'd get into the outline, I'd be fleshing it out, and then before long I'd have a whole outline. And at that point I'd be like, well, I got the outline, I might as well sit and yammer and talk a little bit, I might as well do that. And as I did that, I would elaborate. Before I knew it, I had a video essentially that I could go and I could edit. And a lot of times things would flow, would be very natural, and I'd end up with this product that was better than the ugly, awful thing I had in my head. I'd have something that was really nice at the end of the day, especially because I took those little bites, those little tiny bites as I went along. And it would just kind of cascade because I had my routines and I was used to producing. So I would just kind of go through the motions. Once I started walking, I would end up running. Now, the other thing that can happen when you give yourself permission to create something bad is you can create something that has issues, something that maybe isn't the best. But that's also a win. I'll tell you why. If you have something that you can work with, that you can edit into something that is good, then that's better than having nothing at all, than being blocked, than being in your own head and feeling like you can't make anything. Having a jumping off point and something you can work on and polish is so much better than overthinking and stressing and climbing up, essentially. You can take that rough draft, that rough product, and you can polish it into something that meets your own standards. But I'll tell you, wow, is it ever a gnarly adjustment to ignore the emotional reality of, oh my gosh, this sucks, my work sucks, I suck, and instead of quitting and running away, you press on anyway.
It's unnatural.
It involves ignoring every emotional instinct you have. So I want to tell you, if you've been working on YouTube and you've been trying to improve your skills and you've been putting out videos for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, and you feel that paralysis, this worry that your work isn't good enough, this feeling, that it's not only normal for this to happen as a creator's skills improve, it's also a good sign because it shows that you've moved the goalposts. And the neat thing is, if you keep working on your skills and improving as you can, then you could break out at any minute, and you can't break out if you quit. It's just the reality of it. And I think actually all of this is why a lot of YouTube coaches give the standard advice that I think is actually good advice. And that is to not even really worry about your videos in any major sense until you've put out at least 50 videos, trying to improve something every time. Because frankly, that drive, that grit, that discipline of putting out videos regularly and doing it for a while is harder for a lot of people than the core skills of creation. As long as you're really present and working on yourself as you do it and listening to feedback, and you're really studying those retention graphs in your analytics to see what people honestly think about your work and where you lose people and also where you draw them in, you'll do fine. Really, grit, determination, and discipline are 9/10 of the whole thing. You know, definitely work on your skills, keep sharpening, keep curious. But the place that a lot of people really fail is in the discipline, the grit, the determination, the stick-to-itiveness of it, endurance. Sometimes we distill the whole YouTube debate down to quantity versus quality, like put out a lot of videos, like this idea, you know, versus every video must be perfect. I mean, you kind of need both. You need to put out, you know, a decent catalog, and they need to be solid. But I think there's something else here that we don't talk about, and that's endurance and sticking to it. And I think that's something that's different than quantity. And that's part of why consistency is key, the schedule, because it trains you and it gets you in that habit. So you're automatically reaching to record and to make videos as you go along. So, but yeah, this applies to all creators and not just YouTubers, you know, writers, graphic artists, everybody, you name it. As your standards improve and the goalposts get moved, it's because your skill level has gone up. So paradoxically, you will feel worse at creation when you are getting better. Anyway, it's been great talking to you as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.